Oh, no problem. Bye. Bye.
Ja, veel plezier.
Dankjewel.
Dankjewel. Plezier. Oh, kan je stemmen?
Welkom bij deze wereldpremière van The Creep Behind the Camera. We hebben de regisseur en schrijver Pete Sherman. Pete, your movie is about the making of The Creeping Terror and its psychotic director, A.J. Nelson. What attracted you in the story so much that you wanted to make a movie out of it?
Gosh, ever since I was a little kid, I was a big fan of monster movies and you know, the whole genre. And when you're in 1975, 76 in the United States, it was pretty easy at that time to really get a handle on all the movies that were made. You know, I knew Godzilla from beginning to end. I knew all the, you know, Creature from the Black Lagoon. Then one night, Creeping Terror came on TV, and I thought, what the hell is this movie?
My God, what is it?
The Creeping Terror is a monster movie that was made for close to no money back when the drive-in era of movies was just at its peak. It's a story about this spaceship that crashes in California. A couple of monsters come out and start eating people. There's really no much more of a plot to it than that. The thing that makes it notorious is the fact that it's generally considered, by those who've seen it, the worst film ever made. It's absolutely the pits in every way imaginable. The acting's terrible, the camera work is terrible, the props are terrible, the monster is ludicrous.
Well, it was one of the most incomplete films that ever got released as a finished film.
It was sometimes embarrassing, you know, to do it. And, you know how directors say, well, how was it? You kind of roll your eyes up and you don't know what to say, you know.
God. The whole movie was made as a scam. The main person behind it was scamming people, literally to support drug habits and crazy lifestyle habits of this director.
Vic Savage, Archie Nelson, Arthur G. White, this mysterious figure who actually made Creeping Terror. This story is so much more interesting and so much more worthy of adaptation.
I remember looking in the Medved's Golden Turkey Awards book, and it had that picture of the Creeping Terror in the back of a pickup truck being paraded up and down Hollywood Boulevard as a publicity stunt. When I saw that, I'm like, okay.
He gave me the DVD to watch of The Creeping Terror, and when I finally watched it, I couldn't breathe. I was rolling on the floor. Let's start. Let's see if we can find the people in this film.
Here we are, California, ocean in the background. Really feel like things that sucked.
We went by Art Nelson's house. That was a creepy moment. The house that time forgot. We took some pictures of the Masonic Temple where the dance hall scene was shot and the monster lived. We went out to Spawn Ranch.
This is the eastern entrance to Spawn Ranch, which is now primarily owned by a church, and they've deemed it all private property. We can't get into anything. Pete's been trying to get a lay of the land because it's been very difficult to find any of the old locations, but it has been 46 years. Looks very, very likely that that's where it was. Yeah. The only thing I didn't see was the pond where Bobby and Grandpa went fishing, but could be down there.
We interviewed Bonnie, we interviewed Bird Holland and Alan Silvant. We interviewed Richard Edlund, which was an amazing thing.
End of day 3, had 4 interviews this weekend.
We got really great interviews. We wound up at a crazy house at Bonnie's.
Ending with Richard Edlund, and I think we're off to a fantastic start.
At that point, I knew that we were going to keep going with this story and find a way to make it.
All right,
We're rolling.
I'm rolling.
So do you want me looking at you?
Look at me.
We're rolling now, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Come on. You ready?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Are we good? Let's start out by you just saying who you are.
My name is William Thurlby.
I grew up watching bad movies. I had a perverted childhood.
I'm basically a fan.
Behind me, you see the only complete set of Star Wars Oscars.
It's fascinating that you're here and you're making this particular film.
Again, I'm going to backtrack just a little bit. Let me check something. We're doing all these interviews all over the country. We're being able to piece together what had happened when they were making this film.
People have developed their own ideas about what happened and the myths that surrounded it. And what we've done is to go to the source, the eyewitness, cross-checking stories.
But since this movie was so obscure, there's nothing behind the scenes that exists. Typically, when you make a documentary, you shoot all your people telling your story. You weave it together. You cut to your B-roll that you have. When they were making it, there were some cameras or some still pictures. Well, we have none of that.
Creeping Terror, scene 29, take 17.
We're making a full narrative feature, and then we have the documentary that comes in and augments what we've seen. It's a movie within a documentary about a film.
We're making something that the world will never forget. Abby!
I thought it was getting more interesting all the time.
We built the monster before we even knew funding was in place for the full film. That was something Nancy and I felt kind of strongly about. It was like, well, I want to see that monster made. We felt that would be a beacon to maybe fans out there and show our initiative and what we were able to do.
We could rethink the whole thing forever.
Yeah.
And how did he accomplish what he accomplished? He did it quickly.
Yeah.
And his probably fell apart.
Corey Gilstrap and his team put that together in about 2 weeks. And they did an amazing job.
You can still hear screaming perfectly.
No, then you have to get that thing out.
They didn't have much source material to go on other than watching the original Creeping Terror over and over and over again, which was pretty brutal.
Wait, I could die, so we want to do that the last day, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, then you have to get that thing out.
Well, let's just say that playing the show business game has not been my forte. Forte. Whoa.
Fortunately, we were blessed with a great casting department right here in Colorado. Brian McCulley and Annie Hamilton Casting. Brian had a really good feel for what we were looking for.
But I tell you, that's not bad. Very dramatic. That pout is alluring.
Lois, it's me. Please hear me out. Listen, just for a minute.
You found God, and you're making a monster movie called The Creeping Terror?
Yes. Yes, Lois, that's right.
Casting took place over about a month and a half. There were maybe 4 or 5 sessions.
Holy shit! Holy shit! Holy shit! Holy shit!
All right, cut, goddammit. Christ's sake. Another non-union man, I take it? I'm connected to agencies. I'm connected to studio heads.
You need help, yes, but from a doctor.
It's going to be the best and biggest monster movie ever made.
We looked for a lot of young actors to play Art because in reality, Art at the time was in his early 20s. Josh was older than that, and that threw me off initially, but once you see him come to character and be able to do exactly what I was thinking he should be on camera, some of those things kind of sloughed off a little bit. The one that we really stumbled into that really, to me, was a dead ringer, and it helped with the verisimilitude with everybody else, I would say, was Bill Lavasser as William Thorby. He just looks like a clone of him. And we cut back and forth between the old Bill and our Bill. Everybody gets it. In terms of Jodie Lynn Thomas as Lois, I don't think anybody could disagree that her eyes are so emotive and so sweet and so innocent. That meant Lois more to me than actually physically looking totally like the real Lois.
I was not at the audition where Josh Phillips came and auditioned for Pete for the role of Art Nelson, so I did not get to see that. But I did hear in Pete's voice that he had found absolutely the one.
Call me Vic. Vic Savage. It's my screen name, man of two faces, action rebel. But the studio made me take it. They right, frickin'. I can't help. Hey, damn it, Lois! Fuck Kansas! This is over the rainbow, right here.
It doesn't surprise me that Pete saw in him what he did. He brought the character to life in a way that it just blew me away. I was sold. I was really into the story by that point.
Our task is a daunting one in some respects because we have to make this visually engaging, top-notch, contemporary film. Otherwise, we're hypocrites. We're satirical, and satirical art has to be perfect.
Right.
I hate gloves. Oh my God, Dave.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, I thought you guys.
I'm not taking this away.
Yeah, so I got Indy 6, and then you got your circle pull-off on the, it's actually screwed in. So
we get a 6 on the pull-off? Mm-hmm. Well, I knew it. That's why I did that.
Yeah, okay.
Rolling?
Okay, start to move, Steven. Go a little lower, Jeff, to start. And action. And cut.
Good.
I think so.
The locations, some of them were simple to find. We needed an elementary school. We needed a baseball field. We needed to create a parade scene. My ranch is very similar with the creek bed and the trees, the cottonwoods. And so I was successful in getting Pete to be okay with us shooting at the ranch quite a bit.
right there.
Let's do the thingy. Fuck yeah.
See what you want to do?
Lugging the monster around was always a challenge because it was hot when we were shooting. We shot in the summer, of course, like they did with the original Creeping Terror. And there's always that concern that the kids underneath it were going to pass out like they did in the original Creeping Terror. But those guys did a great job.
Well, we can get a decent amount of light as long as we're not looking at the ground, and then he passes out.
Oh, okay.
Major guest. We've decided we're the monster pit crew.
Misty Walker is our art director and production designer.
Isn't this fun? Tattoo cover-up.
Just was a great forager and found everything for us.
Here, focus on my hand, Pete.
Then there were seasoned professionals like Jeff Pointer, who leans a little bit more to serious narrative that he likes to do in documentary. So when I'd give him some of the crazier things we'd want to do, he'd look at me sideways. But at the end of the day, I'd say, no, I want to do it this way. You know when a professional's there when they say, okay, you're the boss. And we didn't run into any of those type of petty arguments that you'd see.
Oh, do you want full focus to that?
Part of Marshall Bob when he turns, yeah. Right.
All right, if I can get an edge on that backside.
What you got there?
I think
You brought your own camera, huh?
Yeah, because I don't trust this guy at all. If I'm editing this shit, I need backups.
Over there? Copy.
Here's the move. He's in hiding. He hasn't been paid, and he's in hiding.
All right.
The only move he hasn't been paid. In other words, yeah. The crew members were very willing to take on other duties. Any given day, we had a crew of maybe 6 people to 20. Things like continuity people weren't necessarily there, but all of the important positions.
So do I have volunteers for people that pretty much want to be on their feet dancing most of the time today?
The things I lost sleep on were very logistical things. Are we going to have enough food for everybody? Is it going to rain that day? Do we have the releases done?
Oh my gosh, amazing.
Not counting the interviews, which took place over the course of a year, it took us 37 days to shoot the principal photography. Not consecutive, it was over 3 months' time. It all went extremely well. We stayed on schedule. We had one long day, 14-hour day, but other than that, I was happy that we stuck to about like a 10, 11-hour schedule. Most of that you can attribute to the actors because there's so many times they got it, like right out of the gate. There wasn't a heck of a lot of retakes. In fact, I think we averaged maybe 3 or 4 takes per shot.
It's a lot of work for me to put this beard on.
I keep telling him,
I have
grow
to do a lot.
He's supposed to take off his pants, so you might know what I'm talking
No, that's fine. Please do. In fact, to get an up and down when I take my pants off. There we go.
Ladies and gentlemen,
what
the creepy
acting's all
terror.
Fake pills, fake cigarettes.
Actually, these are chock full of high-powered SSDs right now. We're all gonna have a little love in them, so just
Don't get a shot of me picking my hand.
That's right.
on my TV camera.
Writing the script and then directing, in my mind, is easier than directing something as somebody has written. The reason being is kind of right to the ideas I've got in my head.
Do we want to wipe down the whole
I think we can shoot around where she has jeans on.
front end of the car?
Tilt down or tilt up.
Right. Okay, so face in there. That's exactly the shot. Do it. Roll camera.
All right. Camera speeding. Got the slate. Action.
Oh yeah, he's great. Oh, he's awesome.
Pretty good. Good. Just cut that for a second.
I don't think we ever had a particular location we couldn't secure. Maybe we had to bob and weave or improvise, but we figured it all out and it worked out.
Even then, he was.
Joe Dante said, "You really convinced me you were in that period." And I thought that was such a great compliment because we definitely tried on limited resources.
And just go way back there. And if we keep them small enough in frame, we could probably get away with it.
This wasn't like Pete had written this and it was sitting around. We launched this thing and he was writing often as he went and things were changing day by day.
The biggest challenge to me was so many things had to happen in the course of the day and just having a faith that they would.
I think a little could play on the street.
And one thing that doing projects like this teaches you is not to worry because things do happen.
I like that, actually.
If you're obsessing 2 weeks before a shoot date over everything that might go wrong, it just eat you up. I've just learned a lot to let things go.
And we can shoot that later in the day.
Right, and we could cheat our shit set 180 degrees because by that time the sun's over here, huh?
And it will be. That will certainly be over in about Jerry Space or either further over.
Okay, let me get Aaron on.
Cool.
Nice costume. You like that?
Yeah, it's
all
like
mine.
your suspenders.
It's all mine. Are you the one that says by Mrs. Nelson?
Damn right.
Early on in the production, we kind of realized that maybe there are ominous forces at work here. Maybe the spirit of Vic Savage or Nelson were coming after us.
I never wanted to give credence to any curse of Art Nelson. I was so terrified that this thing was going to come true, that bad things were going to happen, and that he was, there were going to be disasters, all the way to thinking our plane would crash or something,
The very first day of shooting was with Bonnie Callahan.
We started talking about Art Nelson.
He seemed to be very centered about the whole thing, even though people had been furious at him. Yes, see? Somebody's talking back to somebody up there.
Okay, let's hold on.
That was awesome!
He's here!
Then from there, as we were doing the interviews, all of this happened.
What's the status?
Status is we're been delayed yet another hour. So to recap the trip really quick, Pete lost a button. We got into Austin, they lost our luggage. We had to delay Harry Knowles an hour. He was very accommodating because of the lost luggage and trying to rent equipment. We were delayed in Austin getting out 20 minutes. We were canceled in Vegas because of weather. We had to fly to Reno, we had to fly to Boise, and now we're delayed in Boise.
This film is cursed. People unable to make flights, canceling, people getting sick. Things are good, even though I feel gross wearing the same underwear since Monday.
And he's got no toothbrush.
I have no toothbrush. We're in a cab on the way to the Michael Medved interview. The luggage was lost again. The thing that seemed like hellfire itself, I guess, was when we started shooting our live action footage. The very first thing we shot was Art going into the church and having the visions. And right outside, there's this raging forest fires going on. Colorado Springs gets hit with all of these wildfires. The day before we were shooting, everybody was freaked out on the set. Inside, our smoke that we used to fill up the chapel set off the fire alarms, and that really freaked everybody out. Post-production is probably the most fun part, but also the part where you stress and worry the most that you're making the right decisions, because everything you cut is like it's like your baby there, and you're performing surgery on some of your favorite shots or favorite moments.
Action.
So, we're here, and we're stunned. All right, obviously, this could not have been made by current science. It's otherworldly. It's atomic.
When I get out of the car in that scene, I violated method acting because I wanted to indicate that this was something very unusual. So I indicated, it was indicated acting, which is not good. We're not supposed to do that here, method actor. So I get out and I go like this. Yes, it looks funny. Look at the cardboard boxes I'm looking at, but I'm going like this, you know. And then I'm going to go inside the thing. I said, how do I get into it? Where's the door? Well, I know this is low budget, but you couldn't afford a door?
The first cut was over 2 hours, I think like 2 hours and 7 minutes, something like that. One of the best things about the post-production process was the music and sound mix, which my brother did, my brother John. Dave and I first heard what he had done for the opening credits, which was problematic for us when we were cutting it together. It was very long, and we thought, is this really working? He nailed it. So that was well beyond expectations, what we thought. I got to do a shout out for Adobe. We shot with a Red camera, and the entire timeline was 4K. Multiple instances linked to After Effects and effects that we had done, and it was solid as a rock. It did an incredible job, and we kept waiting for that moment where the whole thing would crash, but it never did.
And when Imagine Film Festival in Amsterdam got a hold of the trailer and sent us an email that they loved it, and they wanted to see a screener, and they wanted us in their festival, then I felt like we got our wings at that point.
That was an amazing thing, and that's when we thought we got some legs with it. The domino started toppling from there.
And the excitement of seeing our film in those venues. I had already succeeded in what I personally wanted out of the film, even beyond any distribution talks.
The pinnacle of the entire journey was going to Screenfest in LA.
To come back to the epicenter of the whole story.
This was just playing in the Man Chinese Theater.
It was just surreal.
Nancy and her husband Terry drove the monster out there, and they put that up in the lobby of the theater.
Incredibly beautiful theater, all of these wonderful people around us. We were all together, and then for them to play the Creeping Terror afterwards. It was so fun.
Trace Bellew, who plays Dr. Forrester in Crow, and Frank Conniff, who was TV's Frank on Mystery Science Theater, came out and hosted our film. And we had a blast too with them. Bird Holland comes back, and there were other luminaries there at the event.
I have not seen the film since. I'm sure I will again at some point, but I want to hold on to that magical moment.
Anything else you want to say that struck you personally about this movie?
Outside it was a piece of crap.
I never saw the movie, so I admit that.
I don't want to blow the mystique of the thing, but it was intended to be a somewhat tongue-in-cheek film.
I would not call this movie the worst movie of all time because I got some enjoyment out of it. The worst movie of all time is something that you forgot. I would rather watch this movie than Ordinary People. I'd rather watch this film than Italian neo-realism. Bicycle Thief is fucking boring. If the bicycle was stolen by the carpet monster, I would have been fucking thrilled by that movie. But there's not a single fun element to Bicycle Thief.
The only thing I just didn't like the screaming thing. a screaming sheriff. Come on, you know. Yeah, I'm Burt Holland. I shot Johnny Cash. Come on.
The Creeping Terror was such a mess that to see that how far it's gone is an amazing thing.